Really pumped about this week's podcast. I've got the man on himself, Scott Henderson, editor and content director of Men's Health. I just love when we talk, and we've talked a little bit about around the magazine recently and doing some stuff with you. You've been about changing the face of men's health. And that's huge.
Mate, thanks for having me. I'm a big fan of the podcast. Obviously a big fan of body science. Worked with yourself and the crew for a few years. Love what you guys stand for. So it's a good little merging of minds.
Nice. And what do you reckon we'll touch on today, mate?
Touch a little bit on, the changing face of, I guess, men's health as a topic, in the wider industry. I guess especially over the last decade, but in the last couple of years, obviously we've all seen the kind of changes that have come in men recognising health more holistically.
That's awesome, mate. Let's rip in.
Welcome to the Body Science Podcast. As always, the information contained in this podcast is for the information purposes only and is not designed to diagnose or be prescriptive to treat, prevent, or manage any injury, disease, or other health-related condition.
Welcome to Body Science HQ, the world of fit, happy, healthy. And I want to drop on the end of that, changing the face of men's health with Scotty. How are you, brother?
Mate, I'm really good. Thanks for having me along.
Cool. And mate, that's one of your big things, like changing the face of men's health. And let's touch on your bio a bit and who you are for those people out there that may not know who you are. But let's dig into that topic as soon as you've done that.
Mate, of course, started, I guess, my journey in health and fitness. I studied sports science down here in Sydney and overseas in Spain. So I did a double degree in international studies. There wasn't a whole lot of difference over there. It's just a lot harder to understand. Yeah, so I did that as my background, spent 5 years studying. I've worked in the US at Stanford Athletics in their kind of sports science division over there, and then kind of came back to Australia, applied my skills to, I guess, a whole bunch of different jobs in, focused on sports and exercise, but with health thrown in there as well. And then eventually I ended up in health and fitness marketing, which then led me to know the team at Men's Health, and then a role opened up there, and the rest is history. I think that was 5 or 6 years ago.
And that's got to be one of the best jobs in the world. So, mate, what was your credential that got you across the line on that one?
Awkward question, because I have zero credentials.
I tell you what, your little prep in there didn't sound too bad if you're worried about that.
Yeah, well, it is funny because I don't come from a journalist background,
yeah, exactly.
Which obviously, I think people think, when you say you work for Men's Health that we sit on exercise bikes or have treadmill desks and, play hoops at lunch. But it is very much a corporate job. We're journalists and we're running a media organisation and kind of working at desks, which can often quite contradict to what we report on and kind of what we do. So you've always got to be on top of it. But yeah, I guess it was more, I could write. I can tell stories. I do know media. That came from that marketing and PR experience. And it was just a perfect blend in, I guess, the topic of health. So to be honest, I don't think my skills would be transferable to Vogue, but I definitely landed at the right publication.
Nice. I love that. And mate, one of the things you touched earlier in the intro there was changing the face of men's health. Like, let's dig deep right in it. What does that mean, and why would I care?
I think your audience straight away, anyone listening to this, you start off the podcast by saying fit, happy, and healthy, right? Yep. And happy is the second one right there. It's health is holistic, and I think especially the challenge. We've been banging on about mental health, especially in men's health, for the last 5 years. I think the last year in particular has taught everyone that no one is immune to the challenges of mental health.
True.
Before last year, for some people, it was something that was far removed, or they hadn't experienced it, or someone in their close circle hadn't experienced it. Now we're in this situation where everyone has experienced it. We have to be equipped with tools to deal with it, because whether we like it or not, it's in our face every single day, unfortunately. And it has really shown that health is not an isolated 1 hour a day workout. Health is not, I had a smoothie, I can have Macca's for dinner. It's not, 6 p.m. till 7 p.m. when I go to the gym after work. Health is a lifestyle, and I think having the health as the top story in the news cycle continuously for the last year has really made people realize just how ingrained health is in our life. I am a huge fan of training. I'm a huge fan of performance training. I've got to interview incredible weapons, but so much of our health is, can I walk upstairs? Can I play with my kids? Can I take the dog to the park? I think people are starting to realize that, and like you said at the beginning of the podcast, fit, happy and healthy.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Probably for people that don't know, the magazine had a hiatus for a little while, like it went off the shelf for a little while and it's come back in a strong way. I mean, we're advertising in it now, which we love.
We actually got sold at the end of, probably about May last year. Mm-hmm. And it was a really weird time because our new owners shut us on the first day they bought us, where obviously we were 2 months into the pandemic and sales have been up 40% for those 2 months, which, you obviously people wanted health information. Health information was more relevant than ever. But anyway, they made the decisions they did. We worked with our partners. We're at this great publishing house now. And yeah, it's kind of all systems go, which has been great, and it's been received really well. So if anyone's listening that's bought a copy, clicked on one of the social links, gone to the website, thank you.
And mate, where are you seeing most of the interest these days in men's health? Is it online or is it in print?
A bit of both. It's really funny. I was thinking about this kind of because I knew this question would come up. What resonates really well in the mag doesn't always take off online.
Okay.
So I guess what happens in the mag, if you have a cover where it's a super buff guy, ripped, doesn't have to be big personality, sales will be through the roof. Yep. But if you have a cover that's maybe a mental health story, digitally, phenomenal traffic, and that'll continue through the month. So it's a really interesting balance, what people will buy and what they'll go online to access.
Nice. I've got to be honest, I've had a few mags, the magazine land on my desk. It is nice to grab a magazine because I'll be honest, I hadn't touched a magazine for ages, and it's really nice to grab a magazine and actually read through a mag versus the digital experience. And look, the digital experience isn't going away, as we all know, but it's been great to actually grab that paper and have a good read.
Well, thanks. I think especially for topics like health, it's great because, when you read a magazine, it's really magazines and books are the last place where, you don't get pop-ups or you don't get, ads like when you watch the Olympics, an ad will pop up, but yep. When you read a magazine, you're in it,
Yeah, and you can put it down and come back to it. It's still there. There's something of the soul with that. There's some soul food to be associated with that. So, mate, getting back to changing the face of men's health, like you talked before that you've done some cool interviews, and I mean, you've obviously Hemsworth and Rock and all those guys. You get some of the biggest people on the planet on the front of your magazine. And if I've said one of the names incorrectly there, I do apologise, but I'm sure that's correct.
No, they've been on. That's all good. Yeah.
So what's it like? You're not, like you said, you've got a sports science background. You've done your hard yards in that space. All of a sudden, you're interviewing one of these guys. What's it like?
Well, mate, I think the most surprising thing on my end has been how intelligent these people are. And, you talk about someone like a Hemsworth, he hasn't just, with the work that he does in the health and fitness space with his app Centre, he knows what he knows, but he also knows what he doesn't know. So he has experts that fill those gaps. I think, anyone that we work with, I have said no to more people being on the cover than I have said yes, just because I feel as Men's Health, yes, we have to sell magazines and yes, we have to get clicks, but we're also a reputable brand and you can't damage that. And long term, we won't get to work with great people if we damage that brand and throw it away. In terms of learning from these guys, it's just been a huge... It's actually kind of funny being the editor and getting to meet all these guys and pick their brains because they're all so passionate about what they love. I'm kind of like a dog and I'm like, yeah, I want to train like Hemsworth today. I want to train like Ross Edgley tomorrow. No, I want to lift. No, I want to be a CrossFit champion. And my training is kind of like, it's probably why I'm not good at anything. What is it? Jack of all trades, master of none.
That's it.
I think, one of the greatest covers I think we did was we interviewed this guy, Ross Edgley. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He calls himself a philosopher of fitness. And basically, he'll commit to an insane goal, train for that goal for a year, sometimes 2 years, and complete it. So he's completed before he did a marathon pulling a mini. He's rope climbed to the height of Everest. Anyway, we did a cover with him in 2019, and he actually swam around the island of the UK without touching land. So it took him 166 days. So
Stop it.
Ross is an incredibly fit human. He's also aesthetically he's Hercules on Earth. He's ridiculous. He's so shredded. But when you spend 166 days at sea swimming around the UK, your body adapts for that purpose, And so he put on what he called blubber. So he was almost he looked like a seal, So what we used for the cover was a shot that was taken on the day that he finished that swim. So he was bloated, he was scarred from, jellyfish, he had cuts on his neck from his wetsuit, his hair was scraggly, no retouches. And that was what we used as a cover, because it was just a really powerful statement to say, this is one of the fittest humans on earth at this moment. He's just swum around the UK. Like, no one can do that. No one has done that. And this is the body that got him there. And it's just little things like that we want to do with Men's Health now to kind of change people's perception of what health is. And that was, one of those chats where I was just talking to him and I was just blown away. He's so knowledgeable and he applies that knowledge to his own training. It's incredible.
Mate, that's awesome. How good is it, like, that you've got an avenue that you can talk to people like that too? Like, it's a gift, isn't it? Like, you sometimes, I pinch myself, can talk to people like you and all the people that come on here too. It is a gift to be able to talk to people like that.
100%. There's so many knowledgeable people out there, and it makes me question everything I know and everything I've learned. But the other thing is, and you would probably get this as well with the people you work with, I know a lot of your ambassadors and the teams that you work with, they're so freaking passionate.
Yeah.
And you kind of walk away and you go, you can be having a shit day at work and you interview someone or talk to them and you're like, it just blows your mind and you go, wow, I don't have any problems, like this is a new take on life. And I think it's great that we have these platforms now, podcasts, websites, magazines, TV shows, whatever it is, to kind of share these stories, because there's so many incredible people out there doing incredible things. There are some absolute flogs as well, but it's great to be able to give airtime to these great stories.
Yeah. And mate, what is it that gives you your purpose every day to get out of bed? But you're just talking about how lucky you are to do what you do, and these people are all motivated and passionate. And what is it? What's your purpose to get out of bed these days?
Probably exactly that, is to kind of share. I realize how lucky we are, to have access to these great minds, and I love just sharing that information. I rarely share things that I know. It's kind of things that I've, even if it's not an interview, we'll read a study that comes out. The first place I go every morning is a website called Science Daily, and it's just kind of it's like amalgamates it's real nerdy shit, and it's all the stuff that kind of, overnight when the US and UK have been up, all the universities release their studies, and it kind of like breaks down all the big developments that have come, and it's just mind blowing. And it's, I kind of look at Men's Health as that, it's an aggregator of all these expert health information. Yes, we get access to these people one-on-one, but there are kind of little outbreaks of news happening everywhere, and it's kind of, that's what powers me, I guess, in terms of my job, is to kind of get out and get there. In terms of working out and kind of my own motivation to stay healthy, like I said, I'll learn something through work or by chatting to someone, or even as mates, like I chat to yourself, chat to some of the body science guys, and, I'm like, I do want to go and hit that in the gym,
I love it. And taking from that your true passion about that mental health part you spoke about, have you found yourself doing a lot more research out of the sports science area and in that mental health area? Because it's a tough topic to talk to someone. If you get someone in that space, and I've been confronted by that recently, it's a tough space to actually, like, if you talk to me about creatine, protein, whatever, I'm going to talk to you like you want it at the same level. Somebody comes to you with like a serious mental health issue and we all say, reach out, call me, and that. When you do get that call, fuck me dead. Like, it's a different space to be in.
Totally. And I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that's where we're at right now is, if you go back maybe 2 or 3 years ago, it was all about breaking the stigma and ask your mate if you're okay. And I feel, thanks to charities, thanks to, celebrities or whoever, that stigma has really been broken down quite a lot. Yeah, there's still a bit to go, but I feel like guys aren't scared to say that now. Where we're at now is cool. We need to enable ourselves and our mates with the tools of, well, what happens next? What happens after the check-in? Like you said, if your mate comes to you, yeah, it's all good if the stigma's broken and they say, hey, I'm having these incredibly negative, dire thoughts. But as the mate, okay, cool, the stigma's broken down. He's talked about it, but then shit, what do I do?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I think you're exactly right. That's where we're at right now is educating and for ourselves, yes, like what we can do for ourselves, but also what we can do, for those mates. And as a very base starting level, listening is kind of it. Sometimes people talking just helps. Yeah. But yeah, that's definitely, I think, where we're at in terms of the mental health conversation.
And are you seeing a lot of, obviously you have a lot of inputs through your magazine, your hosting, the panels, your podcasting, things you do. Are you hearing a lot of people reach out to say they don't know what to do next, and a lot of people don't know how to? It's a really tough thing for me to talk about, but and I should be able to talk about it. I apologise for that. But do you find it you're hearing a lot more of that coming through your channels into you? Like, look, let's talk about men's health, for example. Are you getting a lot of people talking about the actual mental health side of things through your emails or however people contact you?
Yeah, I think, look, with guys, the way they interact with media, you can tell if something's resounding. Guys don't often go on and comment on posts and share posts, in the same way that, we see they do with women's health. But what we can tell is through traffic, I guess. That's our biggest measure. Guys are they're more passive in the way they consume media. But you can tell, mental health is our biggest vertical on the website, which is great to see. Yeah. But it also shows where there's that gap in education, right? Guys, workouts are always great. Fresh workouts are always great. Fresh workout ideas are always great. But as guys, we've kind of always grown up with that. This is almost new territory for a lot of guys. So it is definitely, it's just gathering those tools. It's like anything. It's learning and continual evolution. And I think it is kind of a new area of science. We work with this great guy on a regular basis who's a psychiatrist out of Melbourne, Dr. Kieran Kennedy, and he is kind of on the front line. He works in a psych ward, and even he says, he'll be confronted with new problems every single day that him as a psych doctor kind of doesn't know how to handle. So it is an evolving field, and but it is great to see it become, a pillar of men's health, the topic, just as much as nutrition, but also not in isolation. You know what I mean? Like, we all know that, when we're fueled right, we work out better. When we work out better, our mind's better. When we're fueled well, our mind's healthy. So then we work out. It's all linked. It's nothing is in isolation. We all know when we have a shit day at work, we don't feel like working out, and then we go home and order Uber Eats. And not to discredit Uber Eats, love them, but
but I know exactly what you're saying. You're probably not on the right place.
It all feeds, right? It's a huge cycle, and I think that's really great to see a lot of guys recognizing that the pillars of health are not isolated, and they don't work in isolation.
Yeah, nice. Hey team, it's Greg from Body Science here. The Hydroxyburn Shred is back on shelf. It's our new therapeutic, has all the taste. And if you're looking for a better thermogenic, we've really pushed for the pursuit of a better thermogenic. Full disclosure on the labelling. What do we mean? Caffeine levels have changed. We all know the rules have changed. The ingredients have changed. The claims have changed. We have a clean label with premium quality ingredients for you. So what does that mean for you? You can look at things like metabolism, energy, sugar metabolism, fat metabolism, cognitive function, thyroid, and just general health and well-being. And it's all on the label. If you're taking a fat burner now and it doesn't say it on the label, have a look at it and go, why? Get on board. And mate, let's talk about some COVID crises here. Like, for example, you're meant to be working on a transformation right now, and that's probably pretty hard to do while you're homebound. Like, how's that working out for you?
Mate, can't you tell? We're on Zoom. You can...
Hey, the blue's working for you, mate. Don't worry, you're good.
I guess that's why you're asking. Yeah, look, no, I'm pretty lucky. I have a pretty good home setup. I've got a assault bike. I've got a barbell with more weight than I could ever lift, and I've got some dumbbells. It is good, and to be honest, workouts are the only thing that breaks up your day, and you kind of, for me, it's not even about the workouts anymore. It's about stopping work. So, when you work at home, the trick is your computer's right there. You log on when you wake up, and then you can work till you sleep. But if you say, cool, 6 p.m. I'm working out, that's it for the day. It's almost like what the commute was. It's hopping in the car, going home. Yeah. But yeah, I was halfway through doing a transformation when lockdown hit here. Which this transformation for me, my workout, I follow, I guess, like a CrossFit Jim Jones kind of training normally. And this was I've never trained for aesthetics in my life, which is super evident to anyone that knows me because I'm a human greyhound. So the point of this transformation was to bulk up and put on a bit of muscle. And to be honest, lockdown's actually been super conducive to that because, you can't go and do your HIIT classes. You can't, you all you can do is lift. Yep. So all I've been doing is lifting. So it's kind of helped, to be honest.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Mate, how does, and just talking about stress and COVID, because it is something that you hear a lot about, like a lot of people are struggling, and like look at Lifeline's most ever calls ever in 58 years or something, whatever it was. So you've set a magazine up, and it's not like, to do a transformation in a magazine is not a 1 week, let's film it, put it out like an Instagram story might look. It was months and months of training and months of prep, and that's before you even started the transformation as an editor. How did you take on board, or how did you survive through that process of, oh no, like everything, I've got a magazine to put out. Like the magazine doesn't stop, but the world has stopped around you. You can't go to gyms. You can't shop where you want to do. I mean, you were even told now you can't even shop online in Queensland. So you've got a magazine to get out, and you've also got a transformation to do, and you're in a house. Like,
yeah, well, I guess in terms of the transformation, kind of getting on with it is we write about this stuff, and I've always been a big believer, sometimes stupidly, in when we write about stuff, I want to understand it. And for me, I'm a kinesthetic learner, so that's like learning through doing things. When we write about, we have done celebrity transformations before, and before we ever work with a new coach, I'll do the transformation, or I'll do that program with that coach just to try it out, because I want to know that it gets results before we commit to it, and I want to know what it feels like. I want to know, because then if we interview the celebrity and they say, oh, it was like this and this, I can be like, bullshit.
That's gold. That's gold.
So a lot of the big things we undertake, I like to try out for myself. Sometimes it's out of curiosity, but also, I want to know that what we're writing is factual, So in terms of, keeping on training through lockdown, that's something last year before we got shut down, we were covering, even for Melbourne. We weren't in lockdown in Queensland, New South Wales, WASANT, and Tas, hey. But we were writing about lockdown workouts, and with this transformation, we say to people, oh, you can get results in lockdown. You can still look after your health. You don't have to gain the COVID-15 or whatever. And what kind of men's health editor would I be if I was saying all that and not living, practicing what I preached? And I'm not going to lie, I'm not some, beacon of motivation. Some days I'm like, are we still doing this inside thing? It's hard. It's really, really hard. And really, I remember at the beginning of lockdown, someone asked me to do, it was like another brand, and they asked me to do a video on like mental health tips. And I actually had to say, I said, you know what, I can't this week, because I would feel like the biggest fraud in the world, because this sucks. And I was like, I'm not happy. I'm cranky, and like I just can't hold a camera to my face and say, yeah, you wake up, you have a green juice, you go for a walk, and it's all good. Like, that's not true. Some days that's not true.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's good for people to hear that too. Look, can I step on your personal life a little bit here and dig into rituals and like your daily ritual?
Yeah,
because I'm a massive fan of that. Like that's part of my purpose, is having a ritual around that. Like, I'd love to hear what yours is.
Yeah, I agree. I'm 100% as well. The habits just set it up. If I don't have them, I kind of live a little bit haphazard and kind of I'm a bit all over the place. But my routines have changed in lockdown. Mm-hmm. But, in lockdown life, I get up early, I'll do a sunrise walk. I always make sure that's an hour, and that's when I actually listen to podcasts then, just because it's I can listen to music, but I'll do that when I do my workout.
Yep.
I come back, have breakfast. That's when I get into work. 12 o'clock every day, I always do my first workout, which is a lunchtime workout. I do eat lunch at my desk afterwards, which is not always great. But then, like I said before, then I'll do 6 p.m. I'll do a second workout. And I don't want people to think I'm this absolute beast. Sometimes it's as simple as, like a little 20-minute sweat that I just need to get moving. But it does break up that day, especially during lockdown. I don't want to, I am at my desk all day. And then by 7, I'm showered, ready to hit some Olympics and get on with life.
Mate, that sounds like a bit of a dream holiday, actually, if you ask me at the moment. That's not a bad day out, if you ask me.
Look, it is. But after 2 months, you want to go out to dinner.
Yeah, exactly. And do you think for men's health, and let's talk about that, the habits and rituals are an essential thing for people to have?
Look, I think it depends on the person, and that's also kind of what I love about health is and we're quite open with that as well. We write about, sometimes there'll be conflicting ideals or conflicting methodologies or topics and that sort of thing. But for some people and for most people, when they're starting on their health journey, it's those rituals that kind of get the ball going. And, when I say, health is not an hour isolated in a day, for some people that don't work out, they don't even walk, they don't know their macas from apples kind of thing. It's starting with those little rituals is the steps that it takes to make it just routine and make it just that. And kind of, you wake up, you're out of bed, cool, I'm going to be active, and that's the thing that kind of kicks off these healthy habits.
Mate,
and it sounds so simple to kind of us when we live in this world of fitness and health every day. But what I've learned in this job is that, you would be surprised how many people don't know that. And again, to a lot of the listeners, you know, they've sought out a health podcast, so they probably understand a lot of these fundamentals. But what I would encourage people to do is kind of help the people around them that maybe aren't so health minded. And I have a lot of that as well. You know, like sometimes, you know, I'll get a message from my dad and he'll be like, "Oh, I listened to your podcast. I had no idea that, you know, this did this." And I was like, "Oh,
that's awesome.
All right." I mean, and it's really, really good, but you just don't know people's perspectives, you know. And then on the flip side, I would know nothing about finance, and he's a gun at that. So
yeah. So true, so true. So Scott, what's the future for you, mate? Like, where are you heading in life? What's the big plan?
Mate, that's the.
Don't worry about a better question coming soon. I'm going to go, what's the best exercise for weight loss at the end? So that's coming up. So I thought I'd start with you first.
Look, I think we all had our goals and plans, but we learned that they need to be a bit flexible now. At the moment, I think, you know, the focus is on kind of building men's health and taking that into the future. I love that we're now at a point where we can do partnerships. You know, I'd love to see, you know, like let's do a partnership with Netflix or Stan or whatever, and kind of, you know, put some of these like do an ice bar special, do a whatever special, do a this training special, and kind of put people through the ringer. You know, love to build our digital properties. It's just all about working with great brands and great people and kind of reaching as many people with this message of health as we can. And you know, some of it will work for some people, some of it won't, but we just want to kind of just help people get access to credible health information. And that's what it's all about.
Man, I love that. I love that. So if anyone out there, how do we contact Men's Health if we haven't touched them before, like a Instagram account?
Yeah, so Instagram, Men's Health AU. Facebook, I don't know if people still use Facebook, Men's Health Australia. we're on there. But
that's
otherwise,
Daddy's, just so you know, he's there right now.
Yeah. menshealth.com.au is the website, and wherever good mags are sold, we're in Woolies, we're in Coles, and most newsagents as well. So
nice.
Yeah, pick up a copy. My advice would be look beyond the cover as well. You know, there's a lot of good information in there, you know, as we talked about mental health, nutrition, fitness, and as someone that's worked on the brand for 5 years, you know, I'm still learning every single day, and that's kind of what I love about our industry is, you know, there are people leading the way and finding better ways to do things every single day.
Mate, it's great. It's great. And obviously a man that gets up and looks at scientific data every morning before they start moving. Here comes that $1 million question I talked about. Best type of exercise for weight loss. Just asking for a mate, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Look, I'm a firm believer. Like, I can't believe I'm a walking cliche now, but it is diet. You know, it's calories in, calories out, and it's diet and watching what you eat. And I've learnt that in this transformation the reverse way. I think when I started this transformation, I was trying to eat what I was eating and put on weight. I was trying to go the opposite way, and I couldn't because I wasn't eating enough. Yeah, it's honestly what you put in.
So think about that kitchen.
And that's my weakest pillar of health is nutrition.
Yeah. I don't think you stand alone there, mate. And it's obviously that changes dramatically too, like everything, doesn't it? Like what was popular 2 years ago is no longer the way to go. So it is one of those things you've got to stay up to date on and keep yourself moving in the right direction. Thanks for coming on. It was really good to get you on. And I do appreciate getting your time. You are one of the busiest humans in fitness that I've ever met. I wish I went through your bio a little better than what you did, because just quietly you need to work on your elevator pitch a little bit, just a touch.
Mate, it's a long elevator. I'm going up 50 floors.
I'm reading it all here, and it's a pretty impressive bio. But man, thanks for coming on, and thanks for reaching out and talking to us about the mag a few months ago and getting us involved, transformations and things that happen, because I think it's a place where body science needs to live is with the mag. And I encourage a lot of my competitors and my other friends in fitness to reach out to the magazine too, because it is a top quality publication.
Mate, thank you, and obviously thanks for. It's great to work with you guys, and thank you for bringing the cookies and cream bar into my life.
Pretty good, isn't it? It's pretty good.
It's a staple.
Look, you'll be the first to know. Here's a hot tip for you. We're making some little tweaks to that right now to make it even better. So next couple of months, you won't even know. You just open the packet up and go, wow, didn't think you could.
Boom. I'll be probably the first to taste it. I'm there at Woolies every morning.
I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on board, man. I appreciate it.
No worries, Greg.